Hey, it's Steph. Thanks for watching today's video. I wanted to just sit down and get ready with some items from my painting projects. I did do a video like this about a month ago, but I will be using some different products because I do have a ton of options in my project pans. I kind of do like a rotation. Like one day I'll use these products, the next day I'll use other products. So I thought I would show you how I use some of the other items I'm painting. There will be some things like I'm using the same foundation as I did last time. But yeah, there are some differences. And I thought I would answer some questions. So I asked for just questions on my Instagram stories and on my community tab here on YouTube. I did say that I wanted to kind of talk about my last year and a few months of being unemployed and searching for work. And I did mention that I have a really exciting announcement. So you can probably guess what my announcement is, so I'll just say it right now. I got a job and I am very excited. I don't think I'll talk about what it is quite yet. I actually haven't started the job yet. I start tomorrow when I'm filming this. So this will be up after I start though. Yeah, so I'll probably do another video talking about my job like after I've been in it. But it is remote, which is such a blessing. I do get to stay home with my son. So yeah, it's very bittersweet, but I will get into that. And I did get quite a few questions, and some relating to the jobs search throughout this year, some not relating. So I have quite a variety, which I love. I'm gonna probably not talk about the products that I'm using, but I might like hold them up. So yeah, and my hair is still wet. If you guys have been here before, I've been kind of experimenting with my wavy hair texture. I'm not going to do that today, just because it's like a whole thing, and I might be, spoiler, I might be outside tomorrow, doing some job shadowing. So I didn't want to do like all that work on my hair for it to get ruined. Like if it rains, I do live in the Pacific Northwest. It's very rainy lately. So yeah, I'm going to start with my primer, and I'm going to start talking about the questions from my YouTube community tab first. Actually, none of them have anything to do with job related stuff, so I thought I would ask those first. The first one is from Harriet Lovejoy 3424, and she is so sweet. She asked if I have a P.O. box where people can send me makeup. I thought that was so kind that you would even wonder that, if you possibly would want to send me makeup. Thank you for that thought. I don't have a P.O. box. P.O. boxes cost money. And I don't have money for that, unfortunately. It's funny, my grandparents always had a P.O. box, and growing up, we would go to the post office together as like a special outing kind of thing. And so I've always kind of romanticized P.O. boxes. I thought they were like a luxury. Like, but yeah, I don't currently have a P.O. box. And I really appreciate you asking. Maybe one day, maybe if I start making money from YouTube, maybe I could get a P.O. box. That would be kind of fun. I would love to receive things, but even like letters. I love letters. I have a friend that lives in Hawaii, and even when she lived here, she would send like a birthday card, or I think she sent us like an anniversary card on our anniversary, and we would see her like regularly, like monthly maybe. But yeah, it's just, there's something special about like handwritten notes. But no P.O. box right now. Barbie Madison 2303 asked 2 questions, and the first one is, how and when did I start project panning? I started project panning June 2021, so it will be 5 years this year since no, 4 years, not 5 years. Math. Which is just crazy. I had found project panning on YouTube from Kelly Gooch. I don't know if she still does project panning because I don't watch her anymore, but she is who I found project panning through, and I had quite a big collection at that time. I don't think I was feeling overwhelmed, but I had a lot of makeup I just wasn't using, and I just thought that concept was really interesting. Then I saw Sarah Rose, so I got introduced to panning from kind of like bigger creators, I would say, and it has evolved from that. I'm gonna set up my mirror. Oh, how I'm gonna do this. Oh, I guess I'll just hold it up. But I thought it was so interesting, like having specific products to focus on and having goals to like use it up. My mom still doesn't quite understand why I do project panning. It's like, you spent your money on it, why do you want to use it up? Don't you want it to last as long as possible? Yes, I do, especially if I love an item, but I also want to use it before it expires, of course. Some items, they expire at a certain time, but you can't really tell. Like, you can use them a little past the expiry date, so I'm not super particular about expiring dates, but that's one reason. I think I just lost my train of thought, but I started my YouTube channel because I hit pan in a bronzer, and I actually talk about this in my very first YouTube video, my very first project pan. It is still up on my channel, and I had talked about, like, I hit pan in this bronzer, and I had wished that I was keeping track of it and of how many uses, and I wished I had progress photos, and I wished that I had all this documentation, and I didn't. So that's when I started project panning. And yeah, ever since then, I've been doing monthly projects. I quickly discovered like prompt-based projects. Oh my gosh, that has never happened before, but I just squirted this on my hand and it went across my hand and onto the floor. That's fun. So yeah, that's kind of how I started project panning and when. It's crazy that it's been so long, but I've gone through so much makeup. You guys, I used to have like 40 foundations. I did an inventory in, I think it was 2021. I did a makeup inventory and it was almost 40 foundations, and now I'm down to like the teens. Like, I think my inventory in January was 18, if I remember correctly. So yeah, project panning has helped me a lot with my spending. Obviously, this is my second year in a row being on No Buy. I have been on No Buys in the past. I did not really document them. But yeah, this is my second No Buy in a year, and I owe it all to project panning because I just have goals that I want to focus on, and I'm focusing on these items instead of buying new stuff. And then Harriet Joy 2303 also asks what your favorite colors in eyeshadow are for me specifically, like what I love to wear. What are my favorite colors? And I'm gonna say it for the billionth time on my channel that I just love cool tones. But specifically, I really love like taupes and mauves and purples. I think those are my top colors that I love to wear, but I would say I think taupes have a special place in my heart. ColourPop That's Taupe has been one of my favorite palettes for ever since it came out, since I got it. And I'm realizing, like, through my color journey, That's Taupe is actually pretty warm when it comes to cool tone palettes. It's very neutral, I should say. Not necessarily warm, but there's like one color in there that I just had in my Pan Those Eyeshadows, Expand Those Pans, which was created by Dora. It was the shade Python, and it was very like red leaning, which I would not guess like a red tone brown would be in a taupe palette. So yeah, I love taupe metallics, like shimmers. They just look so like elegant, and kind of there's like a sophistication to them that I really love on myself, and I feel really like elevated and put together when I'm wearing my cool neutrals and like a wash of taupe on my eyelids. I don't know. So thank you for those 2 questions, Harriet Joy. And then Dora from Dora's _ makeup, that's her handle, but she goes by Fuchsia Soul, and she asked, well, her comment is, I'd love to hear more about your arts. For example, your favorite artist, favorite style of painting. Do you enjoy any other forms of art? In parentheses, I think you mentioned ceramics in a video. And could we see some of your creations? Wow. That makes me a little nervous. I don't know. I've been an artist my whole life. I need to focus on putting makeup on my face. I've been an artist my whole life. I've always, I did watercolors when I was young. I still love watercolors. It's like it is my favorite painting medium is watercolor. And I, sketched a lot. In college, I took any and every art class I could. I did not get an art degree, but I did take as many as I could. Because honestly, like, yes, you can learn techniques and color theory and things like that, but I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, I guess, but it comes very naturally to me, and I felt like I didn't need a lot of like formal training. But yes, I have always loved art. I've always painted. And then in high school, I took a ceramics class, which is amazing that they even offer that in high school. I just think that's so cool. And I found love. I just loved it. I also took like calligraphy in high school. I took painting. I took all of the creative stuff in high school too. But ceramics really like caught my heart. And so of course, when I went to college, I just went to the local community college here, and they had a really amazing art program. And so I took all the things. I took drawing, I took painting, I took watercolor, I took ceramics. I actually worked in the ceramics studio. I worked in the art gallery. I just immersed myself in art. I did not grab my setting powder. I need it. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Had to grab my powder because I like to set each eye like immediately after I put my in this case color corrector on. It just helps with creasing. I don't know. That's just what I prefer. But let me load my brush up. So yeah, I just surrounded myself with as much art as I could because I just don't make me cry in this video. Art, there's so much. If you know me, if you're familiar with my videos, I have a lot of feelings. And art provides a lot of feelings for me. And I just connect to it a lot. Let's blend this concealer out. Hopefully no tears will fall. Anyway, I'm gonna move on from that topic and talk about some of my favorite artists. So my favorite art style, I would say, is Impressionist. But I don't really like the messy Impressionist. Like, if you're familiar with my deck of painting project, I have a deck of cards themed around Claude Monet. He is a famous artist from the 1800s, and his style is very impressionist, but it's kind of messy. Some of his pieces are a little messy for my liking, but I still love his style. Van Gogh, of course, he's very well known. I do enjoy his style. I actually did like a whole report on him. I had to I had to do my own painting, but in his style, so that was very interesting. I don't know if I have a photo of that painting. If I do, I will have it up. That was in high school, so that was like 15 years ago. But I did go to like one of Van Gogh's like exhibits that they have traveling around the country, where you literally go in this giant room and they have projections of Van Gogh's art all over the walls, all over the floor, like all over the ceiling. Like, it was amazing. My husband surprised me with that. For my birthday, I will have pictures on the screen, and we did buy a piece of art from that just like as a souvenir. So I will throw a picture of that, of like a vignette in my house. If you don't know what a vignette is, it's just like a moment. Like, it's, you know, a piece of furniture with art accessories. It's just like a moment in your home, like a vignette. I learned that in my interior design journey. If you didn't know, I was in interior design. I was in that field for 6 or so years before I had my baby. And yeah, so I love Impressionist. I'm not a huge fan of like modern art or like abstract. I can appreciate it. I love all styles of art. It's just not my personal favorite. Like, and being an interior designer, you learn to appreciate all kinds of styles because you have so many different clients that have so many different tastes. And yeah, so I'm just making sure I don't have any more cream products to put on my face before I powder. Let's see here. There is one artist that I love, and I cannot remember his name. And I found his pieces through looking through, it's like the National Museum of Art, like their website. They have a lot of free art that you can actually like download and print yourself. And so I will try to find the time to find him and put some examples. He's also Impressionist, I think. So yeah, I just love florals and like landscapes, just very like nature. I love coastal, like I'll throw up a painting of mine. I have showed some of my art in the past, but I'm sure not all of you have seen it. I painted this beautiful watercolor of a sailboat. It has one of my favorite pieces I've ever created, and I don't have it anymore, and I'm bummed, but I am actually going to recreate it soon for an auction that I'm doing. And I'm also going to be painting like a historic home in my city for it to be auctioned off. I'll throw up this like painting that I have I have 2 paintings in my kitchen currently that I did. One of them is like oranges, and then like I figured kitchen, like paint some fruit. And then I had randomly done this like daffodil painting, and I didn't really know what to do with it. and I just threw it up on my shelf in my kitchen, so I do still have that one. That one's pretty simple painting, but yeah, most of my art that I have, I don't have anymore. I've sold or given away. I will throw up some pictures that I recently did as commissions for like last Christmas. I did this cat. Someone wanted their cat in like as a king, and that was fun. I've literally only done pet portraits like a couple times in my whole life, so that was very like nerve-wracking. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of commissions, which if you don't know what a commission is, it's when people pay you to do a very specific piece of art. Like they have something in mind and they ask you to do it. And I struggle with commissions because I put so much pressure on myself. If you can't tell, like, people's opinions of me matter a lot. And I am trying to get over that. I've grown so much in my adult life, in my professional life, in everything. But I still care a lot what other people think. And so, you know, to a degree, that's good. You want standards for yourself. I don't know where I was going, but commissions are hard for me. Like, that's where you make money quickly. And so I did some commissions. I did that cat, and I did like this landscape photo. That was pretty cool. That's actually a place in Ireland, I'm pretty sure. So if Ruth, if you're watching, verify that. It's either Ireland or Scotland. I'm so sorry, I'm getting that mixed up. Does that offend Irish people or Scottish people if they get mixed up? I'm so sorry. And I did this watercolor like family portrait of like this couple and then their cats, and they wanted like a desert in the background. They had a very specific example that they wanted me to copy, which I don't necessarily love copying other people's ideas, but I know a lot of artists do these types of commissions and they're very like generic, so I agreed to do that. Where is my highlighter brush? Did I forget it? So yeah, my favorite, I'm currently working on a truck for my dad. He's actually commissioned me. He's so generous. Like, I would paint him something for free, but he wanted to pay me. I guess I'm just going to use my finger for my highlighter because I don't have my brush. I completely forgot. So I'm currently working on a painting of like my dad's favorite truck in like a field, like on an old dirt road with some like hills in the background. And like I said, I'm going to be recreating that sailboat soon and the house soon. So I actually have a lot I need to do right now, and I'm one of those people that if I have a lot to do, I procrastinate. And that is so bad, but it is what it is. I totally forgot to mention my ceramic. So I do have a few pieces left, like that I've kept. So I will put some pictures up. One of my finals for like intermediate ceramics, you had to do like a few pieces and within like one theme. And I love ocean stuff. As a child, I used to collect like figures like dolphins and whales, and I would have seashells and I would have mermaids, and I just had this big collection. So I did the seashell theme, and I still have a couple pieces from that. I have not done ceramics in years, not since college, so like 10 years. And I actually own a kiln, which if you don't know what a kiln is, it's what you fire, you bake essentially the ceramics, and that's what like hardens, you know, it's at like thousands of degrees, but it's essentially baking it. And I do own one, and it's always been my dream to have like a little ceramic studio in my garage. But when do you have the time for this stuff? You know what I mean? So I haven't done it, and it makes me very sad. But I love and appreciate ceramics so much. Anything that I use my hands to create. And I never used a wheel. I did not like using a pottery wheel. I like hand building. So literally just using my hands to like mold something is just like so beautiful to me. Here comes the tears. Let's move on to my eyebrows. And I think that's all from YouTube. Thank you so much for your questions. Let's get into my Instagram. So these were private. They're not like public like these comments on YouTube. So I don't think I'm going to share usernames. I don't know. Do you guys care? I don't know. I think I'll just not mention them in case. I don't know why I feel weird about that. But the first question is actually, how did you and your hubby meet? I love that question. I love that question. So what am I doing? My brows. So my husband and I met on a dating app. I was going to say website, but it was an app. We met on Bumble. This was almost, I don't know, I think like 7 years ago now. I just was not finding anyone that I, thought was a good match in person. So I was on dating sites and apps for quite a while actually, and I did find a couple guys that I went on, a few dates with that I continued seeing for a few months, but none of them really worked out. And then my husband and I, so Bumble, if you're not familiar, at the time, I'm sure they're still this way, but the girls have to message the guy first. And I really liked that because I could kind of control who was in my messages. I wasn't getting like random messages from guys that I was not interested in at all. So I really liked that aspect of it. And I did meet a couple guys on Bumble. But yeah, I was talking to my husband now that back then, and I just really liked, the questions he was asking me, like the things that he wanted to know about me were very deep and important questions, like lifelong questions. And it was really important to me that we had the same values and general beliefs like before we even met in person, because I don't want to waste my time. I was done wasting my time. I was 27, I think, when we met. Oh, I don't want to do the math right now. But I was like in my late 20s, and I was out, like, for me personally, I was just ready to settle down. I really wanted to get married. So, yeah, I was just like, I'm ready for a commitment. So I really enjoyed like the questions that he was asking me, so I agreed to meet up with him. And our first date was actually his favorite restaurant, which is like a Mediterranean restaurant that closed during the pandemic, which is so sad. But it was like we hit it off immediately, and we continued. We talked about like really deep topics on our first date, which is crazy. I never experienced that with a guy before. It was always very surface level, which, I mean, first dates typically are. You're just meeting someone for the first time. But I felt like because we spent some time talking on the app, and like before we met, that I already knew him on a deeper level. I don't know. And so like our first meeting in person went so well, and it was right by a bowling alley, and just spontaneously, which I'm not very spontaneous, you guys. I'm not. I was like, hey, let's go bowling. Like, I didn't want the date to end. And so we just walked over to the bowling alley. Of course, it was like a Saturday night or Friday night. And so it was like packed and we had to wait a really long time, but it was worth it. Like, we were just hanging out, enjoying each other's company, and we bowled and I crushed him. I was nerd alert. I was on the bowling team in high school, and so I mean, I'm pretty good at bowling. I'm not like the best, but so I totally crushed him. He was very humble. He was a really good loser, which is a good sign. And I could tell that he was interested in me. I remember this moment so clearly that he like touched my shoulder, and I was like, and in my head I was like, oh, this guy, yeah, I think he likes me. Because of course we were like hitting it off, but it could have been just like a really good friendship. But I was feeling a lot more. And he did not walk me to my car. I was like kind of disappointed and surprised because I did think he was interested in me, but then he didn't walk me to my car. So, but then he texted me after that date and, how much he enjoyed himself. And so I was feeling it. I felt something in my heart. I texted my mom and my sisters because we have a group chat. And I said, I just met the man I'm going to marry. Tears. Yeah, and it's crazy. We dated for 4 months and we got engaged after 4 months of knowing each other. So you guys, I know that sounds crazy, but we've been married 6 years. So it's working out just great. I don't recommend that, but I mean, if you feel it, then you feel it. You know what I mean? My parents did ask us to wait. We did not get married right away. We did have like over a year-long engagement. So it's not like we got married right away. I know some people do. I think Jen on here, her and her husband got engaged and married like the same day. That's so cute. I just love stories like that. But yeah, so that's how I met my husband. Great story, I know. Let's see here. Then the next question is, how do you motivate yourself to film when you have so much going on? I'm going to use Lunar Lavender today. Let me get my brushes. So, I don't have a lot going on. Yes, I have a toddler at home, which is a lot. But I film during his naps and I edit during his naps. And honestly, I put filming first, and I shouldn't. I feel like I prioritize it a lot higher than some other things that I should be focusing on. But it's I just love makeup so much, and that is the motivator. It's just fun for me. I love filming and I love creating looks, and makeup is me time for sure. This is like self-care for me. So that's what motivates me for that. But I need a lot more motivation for taking care of my home, which I do. I do take care of my home, but sometimes I need a kick in the butt. A lot of the bigger chores happen on the weekends when my husband is home. We do it together, and I have a stepson who is turning 16 this year in May. So like he helps around the house. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like I'm not very motivated, so I'm glad that I don't appear to be that way. I did cut back on a lot of projects. I used to do like 10 projects when I, before I was pregnant, and I did have a full-time job, so I don't really know when I filmed those. It must have been in the evenings. But yeah. Some days I don't do anything. And that's real life. Like I'm not always motivated, and I just want to veg, and having a toddler is very It's a lot of work, especially right now because I'm so like emotional. I am a highly sensitive person. I'm also like kind of empath-ish. I feel other people's emotions and I can just tell when people are off. And that's draining, you guys. That's so draining because you're kind of taking on their emotions too. And that applies to toddlers, you know, and I'm with him all day. And he is now starting, you know, he's talking, he's trying to talk. He's really trying to communicate what he wants. And really, I am good at like, because I'm so empathetic, I can mostly tell what he wants and I can tell what he's trying to do or say or need. But you know, sometimes he doesn't know how to communicate it, so he's crying or whining, or so it's a lot of work, like being patient and I wouldn't say like, what do they call it? Soft parenting? What do they call it? Gentle parenting? But I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I'm not gonna let you push me around, but I am going to kind of help you get where you want to go without getting mad. So I don't know, that's kind of how that kind of went on a tangent, but it's draining and some days I'm not motivated. That's just real life. But I'm so glad that you guys are here to motivate me, honestly. I love talking to you guys. So I guess that like kind of goes into another question I got was, what is the hardest part of a normal day? And what is the most enjoyable part of a normal day? And I thought that was pretty deep. Thank you for asking that. But oh my gosh, the hardest part of a normal day. That's hard. I don't know. I guess the easiest part of a normal day is just hanging out with my boy. Every time I talk about him, I cry. I don't want to sound like cheesy, but he's my best friend. And I don't know if it's the easiest part because it's a lot of effort, but it's like my favorite part. The easiest part is nap times when he's sleeping, but that's not necessarily the best part, you know what I mean? So I guess what is the intent of this question? The easiest part is nap times when he's not awake and I'm not trying to multitask, take care of the house, take care of him, fulfill his needs, etc., etc. The hardest part of the day, I don't know. That's hard in itself. The hardest part of my current day is probably when he is feeling needy or overwhelmed and I'm trying to like cook for him. Because one, there's a danger in the kitchen and we're trying to teach him that he's too young still. But he just wants to be like a part of everything right now. And so he's trying to grab like up on the counter, or he's like pushing all the buttons on the dishwasher, or he's like, it's just like multitasking is really hard for me because I get kind of overwhelmed because I'm sensitive. So I guess that would be the hardest part of my day, and we're going to talk about that a little more later. Foreshadowing. Okay, the next two questions are related to like jobs searching. And the first one was, how many jobs did you apply for like during this last year and a few months versus how many called for an interview? I think this is a great question because it kind of shows a realistic look into job searching. So, if you guys weren't aware, I was laid off December 2023 when I was coming back from maternity leave. Granted, my employer, ever since I started working there, well, I knew them before I worked there. And so they kind of already knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, that was the ultimate goal. So I think, we didn't really talk about it when I did get pregnant, but I think they just kind of assumed that was still my wish, and honestly it was, but I needed an income still. And I really thought they would let me work from home, but obviously not. But when I got laid off, it was kind of a surprise. Like, I was going in for a meeting to talk about my job, like coming back from maternity leave, and they kind of blindsided me. I was like, oh, actually, you're getting laid off. I was like, oh, thanks for the heads up. Like, I really appreciate it. But I will say, I 100% believe that God will make good out of my situation. I don't like the phrase, everything happens for a reason. Somehow that is true because there are natural consequences to people's actions and decisions, but I do not believe that everything happens for a reason, in the sense of, like, this happened on purpose because this next step is coming. Yes, there are instances that maybe that is happening, and maybe this was that instance, but I don't know where I'm going. I think a lot of what happens to us are because of our own decisions and our free will, and God just makes good out of them. It might go a weird direction, but there's always good. You might not see the good in your lifetime, and we have to kind of accept that. Or I have to accept that. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying, but yeah, so I was upset because I wasn't expecting it, and we cannot afford to live a long time on a single income. But the silver lining and the beautifulness of it was that I was home. With my boy. So maybe it did happen for a reason, and that God knew I needed to be home. Please hold. Oh, I just felt way too much of that. I feel like I always get it like too low. So going back to the question, I applied to so many jobs, you guys. But at the same time, my experience was very specific in interior design. But of course your skills can apply anywhere. I had a lot of administrative assistants, administrative, like, office experience. But I mean, that's like in person. I've really thought it would be a lot easier to find a remote job. It's not. Right now, I feel like everyone is working remote, so there's not a lot out there available. Like, of course, there's a lot more jobs created or being remote because of the pandemic, but like, a lot of those people could be working at home. Like, I actually need to work at home. Want to work at home, but yeah, I just found it to be very difficult, and maybe it's because of my, like, resume. I did have, like, unemployment for a full year, And I would have meetings with WorkSource. I don't know if that's a thing in other states, but it's like a thing that assists you to find jobs. And they would like look at my resume and they would give me tips, and they did like tweak my resume like 6 months in, and said like some of these things, and apparently like a lot of AI are just looking at your resumes and then they just pick the best fit. It's like, I want a real person, please, that I can talk to, that I can charm, because I'm pretty good at interviews. But it was just getting the interview was really hard for me, and I don't know why. So I applied to so many jobs. There was a requirement, like for unemployment, if you didn't know, I was required to apply for a certain number of jobs every week. I think it was 3 a week. And I only had like 5 interviews, maybe less. I think it was less. I had a couple video chats. One did not go very well. I was very nervous. And then the other went actually really well, but they went with somebody else, like with better qualifications, just things like that. I had some phone interviews, which I am terrible at phone interviews. Like I get very nervous on the phone if I don't know what to expect. So those were challenging. So yeah, I applied to so many, and I got a handful of interviews, and it's just like very humbling experience for me, because I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but every single job before this, I got it. Like, I did not have a lot of experience interviewing and, sending out my resumes, because I never really had to try. I don't know how to put that any better way, but it also was interesting to think back at all of the jobs before this. I actually knew either the interviewer before the job or someone that worked there before the job. So I kind of already had an in. I already knew people that could give me really good references at the job, or like I said, I already knew the people hiring me. So I think that I can't talk. I think that had a lot to do with, obviously, like my previous jobs being so easy to get, and this time I just had nothing to work off with. So it was a very, very humbling, it is a very, very humbling experience. But also, like 2 months ago, I interviewed for a job, and literally the interviewer was like, if it were up to me, I would hire you right now. And I was like, ooh, that sounds really promising. I got my hopes up because she said that, and she was the owner. So I was like, if the owner is saying this, then I have this job. But they had like other interviews that were happening, and I did not get that job. And I was just like, why? Why not? Like, I did so well in the interview. I had such good qualifications. It was like such a perfect job for me because it would be remote and I could be creative, and it's just kind of like, why? But, maybe I always tell myself, if something doesn't work out, it's either because I am not ready for it and God knows it, or God has something even better for me coming that I can't see. So He needs to leave me available for this thing coming. He might be preparing the other person to receive me. That's kind of how I looked about like relationships too. That's like a positive spin that I like to look at things with. But yeah, the next question from Oh yeah, I'm not saying who's from. Do you use job boards to try and find stay-at-home jobs, either via LinkedIn, Indeed, etc.? And yes, that's primarily how I was looking for jobs, was Indeed, and also like our state government job postings, whether it be like our county or the state level. We did, our state had a hiring freeze for a while, which means they couldn't hire anybody, like budget for a budget. I don't know. So that was annoying. I did find it difficult, like looking at the state jobs, because a lot of their descriptions are very, very specific, obviously, to the job, and I didn't understand them. But there are things that you would need to learn as you did the job. So that was kind of off-putting. Like, I probably could have applied to more of those, but I didn't really know what I was reading. You know what I mean? But yeah, I did Indeed also, and I did a little bit of LinkedIn. I do have a LinkedIn profile, but it's not very up to date. Like, I tried updating it a little bit, and I did apply to some jobs on LinkedIn that were very specific, like remote interior design, because that's really what my LinkedIn has, is the interior design parts. Wow, my mascara is getting very clumpy. I just opened this in January. So yeah, I did, you know, my friends know I was looking for jobs. I would post on my Facebook sometimes, like, hey, but I was also trying to find like my own thing to do. I do currently teach paint and sip classes, which has been really fun, but it's not very consistent. I was trying to do like once a month, but the location that hosts me, it kind of depends on like their schedule. So like I didn't have one in February. I did do one in January. I think I've done one in November. I didn't do one in December. So it's kind of like just sporadic. So it's not, I can't really depend on that income. But I completely forgot to grab lip products. I am just all over the place. I'm going to use my cream blush, I guess. Why not? I just need to add some, a little something. Did that do much? I feel like this eye look is a little bright for my shirt, but I'm not going anywhere. I am going somewhere later tonight. So I am actually getting ready, but it's not for a few hours. This is my hair air drying. I was planning on blow drying it, but I might not need to. Okay. I'm done with my look. I really love this Lunar Lavender palette from Kaleidos. I think it's so pretty. And this was my last use with it for my Throwback 30 project pan, so that's very exciting. I can roll that out. I am very excited. I'm very anxious because I don't know how I'm going to manage it, but I do have a new job and I start tomorrow, and yikes. It is remote, so that is amazing. I'm mostly going to just be like managing emails. I will have to answer some phone calls, so we'll see how that goes with a toddler running around. But the company that I'm working for is family owned, very small. They're very family oriented. They know I have a toddler at home, and they're completely fine with me multitasking and doing that. So I just think that is such a blessing and the perfect situation for me right now. Yeah, I'm excited, and I kind of do like, I just don't know how my filming schedule is going to be now. This is a full-time job, Monday through Friday. I don't know if like my lunch breaks will line up with baby boy's nap, So maybe I'll be able to film during my lunch breaks, maybe not. If I can film during my lunch breaks, I'll probably still be in this location here, like in my front living room with the beautiful window in front of me. But if not, that means I'm gonna have to film in the evenings, and I cannot film out here in the evenings, mainly because the light is so dark in here. I don't have overhead light in this room. I just rely on lamps at night, but we don't really spend a ton of time up here. We do occasionally, but also, like, my husband's home, baby boy is awake, like, I cannot be out here in like a common area because you'll hear them in the background. And of course, if I am here, baby boy is with me. That is something I feel so bad for my husband. Like, you know, my husband gets home from work every evening. He wants to see him. And of course, baby boy is excited when he gets home. But then he comes right to me because he's used to me being with him all day. And I miss mama, you know. We just have, why am I crying? We have just a special bond. So I just gotta get my life together. I don't know why I get so emotional. Anyway, I'm gonna have to film in my bedroom. We kind of call it like when I hide. I don't know if I like calling it that, but for my husband and baby boy to get some quality one-on-one time, bonding, I actually go back to our bedroom. I have to lock the door because baby boy has figured out how to open doors. He's so smart. But yeah, I kind of go hide. I work on the computer, maybe edit a video. I was like job searching. I am doing some like side jobs like graphic design and art, of course. So when I go hide in the bedroom, I can film some videos back there too. So I really need to figure that out with lighting and like what my background's gonna be. So this might be my last video filming in this front room. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully I'm not feeling overwhelmed from my job and I feel up to filming. That is one thing. I'm happy that I'm cutting back on my prompt-based projects because I might not be feeling up to filming more than a couple times a month, but I don't think I'm gonna take down my hair because I think it's still kind of wet, so I'll just leave it like this. But I hope you enjoyed watching me get ready and hearing me talk and ramble and cry and get emotional and be happy and all of the emotions that I always portray. But if you're new, I hope you subscribe. I hope you enjoy the genuine tone that I bring to my videos. And I am doing like a vanity tour. I've already filmed it, but I'm not sure when it will go up. So I show you like how I organize my makeup, what's in my vanity drawers, what's on top of my vanity where I actually get ready every day in our bedroom. And I'm also showing you how I store all of my skincare, hair care, what have you. So be on the lookout for that. And give this video a thumbs up if you want me to do more get ready with me's or Q&As. And of course, subscribe if you're not already. I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye.